On this episode of the Tuff Juice podcast, I had the privilege and honor of having on a special guest by the name of Tai Lopez, and he touched on many things. One was how he went viral from Here in My Garage. This is a crazy story. You do not want to miss this. And also the 4 pillars of success: health, wealth, love, and happiness. Reading a book a day, like that is crazy. And then going from that and starting your own book club and being an investor in Mentor Box. It is so amazing. You do not want to miss this episode. Tune into the Tuff Juice podcast on the Himalaya app or wherever you listen to your pods.
I understand, like, if you go to China and you don't speak Chinese and you go to a small town where nobody speaks English, you're going to be lost. And we all grew up learning English. Some people are crazy enough to go to college and get an English degree, pay money to learn the language they already know. But when it comes to the language of money, it's a totally different game. And so by watching the patterns, watching how these 3 mentors dealt with money, started slowly reprogramming my brain. You got to reprogram your brain. Your brain is very stubborn. It gets these neural pathways and they get stuck in a habit. And that's why poverty, there's many reasons poverty, you know, like I said, I was born in Long Beach as one of the poorest places, like Long Beach, Compton. That's where I was born. My dad's from Harlem. So on my dad's side, it was multi-generational poverty. Not to the point where people were homeless, but, you know, my dad said growing up in Harlem, he's like, I didn't know I was poor because every kid in my school was the same. We had 1 pair of clothes. We wore it every single day. It wasn't a uniform. But he's like, I didn't know you could afford two pair of pants.
Damn.
You know? Yeah, he went, my dad, but you know, his dad worked in the subways, blue collar worker. So to break that pattern of like generational poverty, you have to reprogram your brain, because even as a young age, you're learning poverty mindset, And you look now today, the modern world, the way the media is, poverty mentality. It's telling you to always buy stuff, right? Well, you don't always want to buy. You want to be the business person selling. If you're always buying, they're taking your money and making the profit. So, for example, after I had these mentors, I remember I lived in Raleigh, North Carolina. Okay, basketball country. That's where I learned to fall in love with basketball. When I was 13, we moved from California to North Carolina. I hated Raleigh, North Carolina, but basketball country. I mean, North Carolina, I think, has the most pro basketball players. Believe it or not, I had never, Karan, you'll like this, never picked up a basketball until I was 13. So my stepdad moves from California. Okay. And we moved right in the projects. We had the house next to the project. So I wasn't in the project technically. But my stepdad worked at the post office. He probably made $30,000 a year or something. And so my bus stop was in the middle of the projects. And so when I would go every morning I'd get there a little bit early, all the kids would be playing basketball. And I remember the first time I picked up basketball, I was like, because I grew up playing soccer, man. Lopez from California, you know.
Yeah, man.
I'm not tall like you NBA guys. So I remember picking up the basketball and like bricking just like bad. And then, but I played so much that like in 2 years I got moved. So I went to one of the biggest high schools actually in the US. It's called Enloe downtown. My league had like John Wall came out of my league, Jerry Stackhouse, and Michael Jordan too. So it was the same school system. And I was 15, JV, and the coach moved me to varsity. And I remember we played, the first game was against Jerry Stackhouse.
What was that like?
I was on the bench, man. I was only 15. There was 2 of us that were JV. I was 16. But anyway, like that's my basketball side of it. But even growing up there, man, I saw all my friends play basketball. Most of them lived in the project. I had a good friend, Leon Champion. I'll never forget. Rest in peace. He's dead now. He died in prison. He was a diabetic, but they wouldn't give him his medication. You know, prisons are all corrupt and stuff. So my friend growing up, I saw it. He could have been a talented person. He was a smart guy. Single mom, lived in the projects down in Halifax Court or something. It was called Worthdale. And that was the first time I saw somebody really poor. Like, we weren't rich, but we always had food. I went to his house one weekend, this guy Leon. I go to his house, and I wake up in the middle of the night, hungry. I go down to the kitchen, I open up. I'll never forget, there was only a half a thing of mustard. The next morning, I said, Leon, where's food, man? He goes, I don't eat on the weekends. I just get free meals at school Friday, and then I wait till Monday. I get a little bit of candy from my friends and stuff. And that's why he turned into a diabetic. So patterns of poverty, you know, boom, boom. He got caught in that system. Would have been a smart guy, would have been a businessman. Then I remember when I became a senior in high school, all of a sudden he started bringing a gun to school because he was selling coke. I forget what he was selling, but some kind of drugs. And that was when I was like, I can't, because I was on the basketball team. I didn't want to get kicked off. But then when I came back to North Carolina after graduating 3 years later, I'm like, where's Leon? They're like, he died in prison. So that's that. He got that, his neural pathways in his brain. He was smart, but nobody ever showed him, like, hey, I can teach you how to take that street smarts and turn it into a product, a brand, and a business, and you can make $1 million without having to risk going to prison. So that's, you know, that's kind of my philosophy on money.
Yeah, you touched on like the deprogramming, and I'm very interested in that because a lot of our listeners and viewers are going to be like wanting you to elaborate a little bit more on that. You know, specifically in like the Black and brown communities, or just, you know, poverty as a whole. You know, people searching for ways to, you know, be the first one in their family to obtain first generational riches. How do you go about that in an economy like this? Like, everybody's flatline. You know, the wealthy still
Right.
has it. The people that's in poverty trying to figure it out. Small businesses are suffering. Like, how do you pull your way or pull yourself out of that situation right now if you're in that position?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, my best guess to a lot of people is learn internet marketing and e-commerce skills, because all these wealthy business owners, they're scared right now. They own a couple department stores, they own a couple restaurants, but all of a sudden that business model doesn't work anymore. They're shut down. And even after that, are people going to want to come out versus just buying on Amazon or buying on Uber Eats? So your opportunity as a individual, your opportunity. So let's say you're Black or brown, poverty background is, okay, nobody's that good at e-commerce and marketing right now. So if I build that skill, there's a gap right now. Even the rich don't have that skill right now. And I promise you it's true. I have a program called Social Media Marketing Agency. I trained like over like, I don't know now, 75,000 people how they could start their agency. Not everybody did, but thousands of people start a business because business owners don't know how to do social media. Think about a dentist. You think a dentist is ever going to learn how to run Facebook ads? No. Think he's ever going to learn how to get his website up, how to post to Twitter? I mean, most dentists they're older, in their 50s or 60s. They just want to be a dentist. So you walk into a dentist's office and you say, listen, you don't know me. And you could be any age and any color, because for this, it's not like you're asking to be their business partner. You're just saying, look, I have a very particular skill, like Liam Neeson in, what's that movie, Taken? He's like, I got a very particular my skill is coming into your business and getting your marketing up and going. And right now, some businesses don't want marketing in the quarantine because they're shut down. But remember, unemployment's only about 15%, which is high. That means 85% of people and businesses are still operating, and they need marketing. So that's a very specific answer that I give somebody of any race, any background. Learn marketing, because if you're good at marketing, you always have a job. The second specific skill I would say to learn how to sell. You can do phone sales or in-person sales. So I got a guy who came from the ghetto in Manhattan, grew up pretty rough. He came and worked for me for a couple of years in LA. He was probably around when you were there. And now he built his own social media marketing agency. And on top of that, he's selling cars, which sounds like, oh, people might laugh. Oh, he's selling cars. He's like 24. He's going to make like 80 to 100 grand selling cars. And he has a social media marketing agency. He might make, making over 100 grand sub 25 when you grow up poverty ain't that bad. And he's just getting started. So marketing, phone. And the thing about phone sales, if you know how to close deals, people are going to hire you because you can say, hey, just pay me a commission. I'm a boss. If somebody wants to work for me just for commissions, what do I have to lose? Every time I pay them, that means they made me money. So I really think if you don't know what to do, if you're black, brown, really whatever, but you're trapped, start with marketing services, specifically internet. And then number 2, learn how to sell anything. I got guys that follow me that have become really good at selling solar. So they go from house to house. They walk from house to house and just say, hey, I don't know if you know this, but the U.S. government gives you a tax credit if you put solar panels on your house. I represent a solar company. I'll be your salesman. A lot of people close doors in their face. Boom, boom. But they don't. If you say it nicely, most people aren't that rude. Well, 1 out of 20 houses, somebody puts solar panels on their house, $15,000, $20,000, $25,000, and those guys are making commissions. Let's just say their commission is 10%. They're making $2,500, and they're closing. I know 21-year-old guys doing $200,000 to $300,000 in sales. Now you might say, but Tai, solar panels is going down now because of COVID. I don't know if I'd be so sure. There's a lot of people going, I want to be self-sufficient. What happens if the power grid goes down? I might want solar. So that's not a business I'm in. But if I lost all my money and had to start all over, I might go sell solar. I might go sell other things you can sell, like I said, cars, financial services. I did insurance at one point. You can make my first 6 figures was in selling life insurance, if you can believe it. There's great commissions in that. So one thing I've learned, a lot of people who grew up on the streets, like even my dad, I wasn't that close to my dad. My dad would have made a great sales guy because he knew the flow. You know what I'm talking about, man. It's like some of my best salespeople did not grow up rich. They grew up a little bit hood, and they know how to talk to people and they know how to persuade people. That's a great skill. 70% of billionaires, 70% worked in sales before they became a billionaire. Mark Cuban told me, he said, Tai, I was selling garbage bags door to door in my teenage years. God. And he said the skill I learned there directly helped me negotiate the deals that turned me into a billionaire at whatever age, 30 or 32 or whatever.
So you're a strong believer in right now, during the midst of this pandemic, like this is the time for the creators and the true entrepreneurs right now to just come up with so many tactics and ideas and go out there, venture off and make it happen.
You said it perfectly. This is the time. And I'll tell you this, man, life's short, baby. People dying. You see this in New York, people body bags getting buried in Central Park in New York. I tell people that are afraid, like, Tai, what if I start a business and I fail? I said, you ain't got nothing to fail because at the end, we all fail. Everybody. Jeff Bezos, richest man in the world, you might think, oh, it's awesome. I wish I was him. I have $130 billion. Well, he's going to die soon. He won't have shit. So the only thing you should really fear in life is living a shitty life, living a crappy life. That should be your obsession. Am I living an interesting life? If not, nothing else matters. Interesting life, where every day you wake up and life's a little different. It's not monotonous. You're not going into something that you hate. You know, one of the things my second mentor, Alan Nation, told me, he said, if you wake up every day and think what's going to go wrong, he's like, you better change your life. When you start with a negative thought because your life is just so out of whack, do anything. do any. And so the good news of this recession that we are definitely in, people lost their jobs. Well, that's the universe saying you got to do something new. I'm not saying that to be mean to people. I'm just saying you have no choice. The economy is rough, man. Trust me, I've seen everything happen as a businessman. So my advice to you is you got no choice. So sometimes you burn the boats and you succeed because you had no other options.
And speaking of, someone that really walked the walk and talked the talk, someone that did succeed by, going viral. My question is, how did you go viral with Here in My Garage, and how did that change your life forever?
Well, people don't know. I started young as a teenager. Well, not young, but I wish I started at 8. I wanted to be a businessman when I was 5, but I started in 2001. I started at it, my first real kind of entrepreneur thing. And so when Here in My Garage came out, that was 2015, I'd already spent 14 years in business. So some of the people, to go viral, by the way, is part skill, part luck. Okay. It's just kind of like success. It's like,
so that wasn't calculated at all. It just kind of happened.
I'd say it was 50% skill, 50% luck. It was more calculated than you think, because I did a lot of different versions of that. I spent 1 month testing different videos starting in December 2014. And I tested and made changes to the videos until I made January 24th, 2015. I made that video that went viral. So there's an element of luck, but there's skill too. You'll never be successful on pure luck. I'll give you an example. The average person who wins the lottery, that's luck, loses all their money within 3 years.
Damn.
Average person's broke. I know a guy, believe it or not, who won the lottery and he's broke now. You see that with, like, in football, the NFL. I can't remember. It's the same kind of statistic. Because if you make your money without understanding the language of money, you will lose it. I tell people when I do big conferences, I say, there's somebody in this room who's going to make $1 million, $10 million, $100 million this month. And there's someone in this room who's going to take it from you. Because the second you don't know what you're doing, somebody like a shark comes in, this world full of sharks. And so when I say that video was luck and skill, I really mean that. And all success is luck and skill. So what you have to do is live up to your end of the bargain, which is about 50%. Like you said, you perfected your skill. I spent many years perfecting the skill of marketing online. I started in 2001. I was one of the first people to ever do a Google AdWords ad in 2001. 2008, I was one of the first people to do Facebook ads. So by the time YouTube came around, 2015, and I did that video, it looked like I was just an amateur. But now they take that video and they actually analyze it in a lot of universities, because there's a lot of subtle psychology and marketing in that video. There's pattern interrupts. There's authority build. There's something called association bias. And there's props in it that have certain subliminal messaging, like books and things like that. So, like I said, it's not 100% luck. But at the other side, I would never say my success is 100. I mean, I'm sure you feel that way. I'm sure you wake up and you look at your life and you're like, yeah, I put in my work, but there was also some luck to it. You got good genes.
Yeah.
Height,
timing, everything. Yeah, it was a lot of stuff that happened in my favor that pushed that little momentum, to keep happening.
Yeah, Michael Jordan has a brother who can jump higher than Michael Jordan, they say, but he's way shorter. He's like 5'8".
Yeah, his brother
Jordan,
Larry.
Yeah, Larry. And Jordan just grew to 6'6". Well, I mean, if he had stayed 5'8", he wouldn't have been the Jordan he was. I mean, he might have made the NBA, maybe, but there ain't no 5'8" Michael Jordan ever gonna happen. The league's too big now. You even Spud Webb, Muggsy Bogues, these guys, you're not gonna pull it off. Nate Robinson. So you look at Michael Jordan, he could have been like his brother, and his brother could have been 6'6". Dennis Rodman. I always think it's a crazy story. After high school, he was still under 6 foot tall. He was like sweeping at airports, and then in like whatever a year, he grew to like 6 foot. And all of a sudden, he's playing in the NBA. But he put in the work. You remember, Dennis Rodman was in shape. I mean, almost the best cardio of any basketball player ever. The man would just run and jump but there's luck to it too. So I tell people, here's the thing. And ain't nothing you're going to do about luck. So you put in the work to build the skill, and maybe the universe gives you enough luck to become a millionaire or a billionaire. But, not everybody has to become a millionaire. I can tell you for sure the saying, more money, more problems is true. What you want is financial independence. That's it. For most people, they've done scientific studies that starts around $90,000 a year. Let's just call it $100,000. If you can have a nice steady income of $100,000, ideally from 2 different sources of income, not just one job, life starts to get good. You don't live crazy. You might not have Lamborghinis. You might not have NBA money. But life's not, I can tell you, I have friends who make less money than me. In fact, it's funny. I mentored one of my closest friends. We knew each other from age 1 year old. Our moms were friends. And we separated in life at high school. And he came back after, and he said, Tom, I was thinking of becoming a lawyer, but I'm going to come work under you and learn how to do internet stuff. This is my friend Jeremy. So he does internet stuff. He worked for me about 4 years. He meets a girl who also worked for me, this model girl who was a Ford model who worked for me. And they were there at the time I met you. And Jeremy and Charlotte, he's super tall dude. She's super tall. How tall are you? 6'5"?
6'7".
Are you 6? Okay, he's like 6'5", and she's like 6'1". So they get married. He goes, Tai, she's from England. He goes, I'm gonna quit working for you because I'm gonna marry Charlotte. I'm gonna move to the UK, and we started our own little clothing line using all the techniques you taught me about Facebook ads. So they have this brand called Om and All, and it's like yoga clothing for women and stuff like that. Well, my friend Jeremy, his businesses make way less money than mine, but I bet you he has a better life than me. He's traveled around the world, goes to Bali. He literally works 2 hours a day on his laptop and lays at the pool. And he's been, I'd say he's been to 40 countries in the last 2 years. He has steady income. It's not crazy money. He's not making $1 million a month, but he might be. I mean, he's making more than $10,000 a month. So I don't want to disclose what he's making, but he's not making $1 million a month. He's just making solid income. He's never going to become a billionaire off it. He's not even going to become multi-millionaire. But you know what? He's got a millionaire lifestyle. I know millionaires. I know a dude. I know a guy worth $800 million. Okay. And I got to know him. He invested in one of my businesses. He's miserable. This is the worst life. I wouldn't trade. I promise you. You might think you would trade for his life. You wouldn't. He's lonely. He's older. He can't get a woman to actually like him except for money. Every girl he dates ends up, he realizes that they only care about his money. So I'm trying to become a billionaire is some luck. And to become even a multi-millionaire is some luck. So some of you are going to get that coin flip and you're going to make the $1 million or the 10 million or the 100 million. But most aren't. You can't control that part. I'll tell you what you can control. You can make $100,000 a year. You can build the skills. You can make 150 all day. And I know people say, "Oh, that's not a risk." No, yes, you can. I've proven it. I've had over 200,000 people go through my paid training, and I've had about 100 million people watch my business training every day. People from bad backgrounds, poor backgrounds, message me and show me results that they're making. I had a girl, listen to this. There's a conference. She's from India. She flew all the way. Now, India is a pretty poor country. I've been there before. It's insane poverty. And she said, Tai, I learned internet marketing. I live in India. but I have 2 clients in America. They pay me $2,000 a month to do their marketing for them, to manage it. So I'm making $4,000 a month. She said, do you know how much money that is in India? She said the average person's starter job at a college for educated people is $400 a month. So she's making 10 times the average. She's like, I bought my ticket to come to America to a conference to see you. She's like, nobody in my family ever had, $1,500 or $1,800 to buy a ticket. So I see people doing it in India. I see people doing it in Africa. I know a guy who called me. He's Nigerian. He built social media. Actually, he does e-commerce. So he has like Shopify sites. He sells products on Amazon. He wholesales them or he buys them wholesale and then sells it. I think he makes $12,000 a year. Trust me, in Nigeria, it's like India. You make $12,000 a year. That's like making $5 million in America because life's cheap there. So
you win it.
Oh man, I wouldn't even want to make $12,000 in some of those countries. You get robbed. You better live low key. No Rolexes, baby. You can get your arm chopped off. Colombia, you're gonna get kidnapped.
That's crazy. You also say like there's an aspect to like visualization to your teachings, working backward from the goal that you have in mind. When did you begin thinking like that? And what was your initial vision for yourself? And that, what is your advice when things go not as planned when you're in that space?
You see behind me books. I'm kind of known for books, different videos I have. Books help me visualize. And that's why I tell people, read or listen to audiobooks. You can do YouTube too. There's something kind of magical about books. I don't know why. The last 500 years, people have been getting value from books. Books allowed me to visualize stuff. Like I'm even looking right there. There's a book I haven't seen in a long time. It's called The Hiltons. It's about Paris Hilton's great-grandfather. Paris Hilton didn't make the money on his family. The great-grandfather made it in the hotel business. Conrad Hilton. He came to California in the early 1900s. Reading that book, for example, years ago, I started going, this guy, he went to Long Beach. That's where he started making his money. And I said, I'm from Long Beach. If this guy could do it, I started visualizing. He came from nothing. He saw a trend and opportunity. There wasn't enough housing for the oil workers, so he opened up a little hotel. And I saw that he built it like a little seed. He just started small. He opened up his house, like almost before Airbnb, like 120 years ago. He had like Airbnb, let people stay, and he started getting income. And he started learning, okay, these are good guests, these are bad guests. Oh, guests want to have this kind of eggs for breakfast. So he started building real small a skill to understanding the hotel business. Fast forward that, he became one of the wealthiest people in history. So that was a visualization tool, that book right there. And I have books everywhere. And that's been a great way for me to visualize because I didn't have a Harvard professor, help me, or I didn't have a dad that was like, here's my business and I'm going to pass it on to you. So books are amazing. YouTube videos can be good, but audiobooks are good. I really think that's the key to visualization is read autobiographies or biographies of badass people. Read Quran's book.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
I got that book literally right here. I don't know how it ended up in my house. I got a couple copies. I keep one out here on my farm. I just saw it a couple days ago. So you watch, because then it's not just, because a lot of people, it's hard to visualize from scratch, Imagine if you've never eaten an orange in your entire life and somebody goes to you and says, can you visualize yourself eating an orange? Or like, no, because I don't even know what that word means. And someone tries to describe it. Well, it's this thing that's orange. And you're like, but I don't know what orange is. Oh, it's like round, like an apple? No. How does it taste? Well, it's kind of, tangy. Oh, like a pineapple? Well, no. It's hard to describe it. But if you get a taste of it, then you'll never forget what an orange tastes like. So by using books, my brain gets a little teeny taste of the success in the hotel business of Conrad Hilton. Or if you read, there's a good book called Made in America about Sam Walton. It's how he built Walmart. By the way, that book, Jeff Bezos, who's currently the wealthiest man in the world, that book about Sam Walton, what Jeff Bezos read it so many times, the pages fell off. So when he was starting Amazon in 1994, people were laughing at him. Nobody's going to want to buy things online. People want to go look at it in the stores. And you were asking, how do you succeed when people are making fun of you, or you're being pushed down, or you're being criticized, things aren't going well? He had that book. So every time people said, you can't make money selling stuff, he was like reading his book. He's like, but Sam Walton made money. I got a taste of what Sam Walton did, and I just changed it a little bit. Instead of stores, I'm going to put the stores online, and I'm going to call it Amazon. And because of that taste that he got from that book, he's now worth over $120 billion. The man has $120,000 million. 120,000 million. I don't like to say billions. That's just imagine. Most people would like to have 1 million. He has 120,000. So he could lose $1 million like you and I lose a penny. If you lost a penny today out of your pants, you're never going to notice. A maid could steal a penny out of your wallet. They could steal $1 out of your wallet and you wouldn't know. Well, $1, Jeff Bezos, somebody could steal $100 million from him, and it'd be like someone taking $1 out of your dry cleaning. Never know. That's how much money that man built. But that's because he was able to visualize in 1994 through looking and getting a taste of somebody else's success. So he can't take all the credit. Who knows? One book coming your way can make your life go so different that you'll never imagine a life without it. One person you meet, one podcast like this. That's why it's good you're putting podcasts like this out, because people's life change like that, and it usually traces back to one teeny little. Even my first mentor, he had written a book, and my stepdad bought the book, and that's how I heard about Joel Salatin. And without Joel Salatin, everything you know of Tai Lopez probably wouldn't have happened.
Wow.
I'd probably just have a 9-to-5. So I always think back, what if my stepdad hadn't bought that book? That's what I tell people. You got some extra money sitting around? People go, what's the best stock market investment? I say, well, you can buy a stock, let's say Uber or something, for $30-$40 for one share. And now you own a millionth of a company. But you could take $30, you go on Amazon, you buy used books for $2, you buy 15 books. 15 books. There's enough. If you buy the right books, there's $1 million ready to be made from what you'll learn in 15 books. And I know it's hard to read, but sit in a chair 5 minutes a day. If you don't have the discipline to sit in a chair 5 minutes a day, you ain't never going to make money. And I got to tell people that, because I'm an optimist, but I'm also a realist. Not everybody's going to be rich, because most people are lazy, man. It's not even lazy. It's just zero discipline. You can't have success without a little discipline. It's just like you playing basketball. Like, we all know about basketball players that had no discipline, and none of them are on you were an all-star, right?
Yeah.
There's no all-stars that don't have discipline. I promise you. There might be some dudes who make it in the league when they're 7'2", stuff like that, but ain't nobody that. And it's the same with money. I've never met somebody who actually made their own money and kept it. I had a friend make $18 million, but he was an idiot, and he still made 18. But within 4 years, he had zero, because his friends. He paid taxes on $18 million. He lived in California, so you're going to give up. Even with long-term capital gains, I think he gave up, just call it 5 to 6. So now he has $12 million. He bought himself a house, some cars. He had about $9 million left. His friend convinced him to invest in some real estate halfway between Los Angeles and Las Vegas, which we all know is just a desert, not a good place to invest. If you've ever driven to Vegas, there ain't nothing in between. And he
just empty.
There ain't nothing. 2007, he put more and more. He put all $9 million in. Then 2008 came. He lost everything. And he was back to a 9-to-5 job. So that's what I was trying to tell you. I've never seen somebody who makes money and keeps it that doesn't have some discipline. You must have a little. But the good news is you don't have to be like a drill sergeant. You don't have to sit down in a chair and read for 2 hours a day. You read 5 minutes a day, every day, consistently, 365 days. You're gonna make money off that book. If you're reading, unless you're reading like Harry Potter or bullshit like that. But if you're reading non-fiction, okay, nothing wrong with Harry Potter, but you ain't gonna make money off Harry Potter unless you write another book like Harry Potter. She did. J.K. Rowling became one of the richest people ever from writing that book.
When you look at, you know, one of the main reasons why you started the book club and all that, was that primarily because of the information that you received and you was trying to give it back and plant seeds back with other people?
That's exactly what it was. It was like, you know what? Books, like, dude, I got to pay tribute to books. It's kind of like you with basketball. It's like you got to pay tribute to basketball because basketball was what propelled you to where you are now. So you're always going to have a special place in your heart for basketball. Like, you know, if somebody brings up basketball, you're not, oh, fuck basketball. I watch hockey now. No, that'll never happen. You're a basketball. The same with books for me. I'm never going to be like, fuck books. And there's some influencers out there telling you not to read. I'm going to tell you, ignore that, because the 3 richest men in the world right now, Jeff Bezos, second richest man in the world, Bill Gates, third richest man in the world, Warren Buffett. Jeff Bezos not only reads all the time, he started Amazon to sell books. That's how much he loved books. His first business, Amazon, was built on books. Bill Gates loves reading so much. His blog is all about his favorite books, and he takes reading vacations where he takes 14 books that he hasn't had time to read and locks himself in a hotel and just reads it for a week. Reads. That's so on Bill Gates' vacation, he's reading. Warren Buffett reads 8 hours a day. He said he's for the last 50 years, he reads about 500 to 700 pages a day.
Damn.
Okay. So all I can tell you, when people tell you don't need books, I'm like, bullshit. If the 3 richest men in the world do it, that's like if you know, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Kobe were like, yo, I gotta practice my free throws. Like I like to practice 100 free throws a day. And then some rookie comes in the league and goes, fuck practicing free throws. You'd be like, bitch, Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, all practice.
You better get on it.
Yeah, don't try to pull that bullshit on me.
Yo, when you look at the importance of being authentic and personal branding, what are some of the most common ways you see people projecting and what they want people to see in that space?
Yeah, social media is crazy now, dude. Like, I got in early. Like, I started doing Instagram like 2012, and so now it's just like accelerated to the place where like basically social media is its own universe now. And so you got to be careful with it because it can lead you into this kind of weird place where everything's fake. And I just tell you, it depends what your goals are. Look, some people's goals is to be famous. And I think at some point I had that goal, like, yo, I want to be famous. And then I got kind of well known. I'm not like a A-list celebrity, but it's like you probably know the same way. If I go places, people recognize me everywhere I go. And it's not as good as you think.
Yeah.
So if you're watching this or listening and your goal is to get famous, then you might want to just go crazy on social media and just post yourself doing stupid shit. And, but if you want your brand to be a brand that has other purposes. So for me, social media is a way to do business better because I can reach more people, things like that. So to me, social media is a means to an end. It's not my goal. I don't want on my grave people go, you know what Tai was? He was a social media influencer. Fuck that. Nah. I don't want that. It's fine for a few years to be that. But for me, the goal is, if you look at my life, what I'd hope is that I have the 4 pillars of the good life. I kind of figured it out. No one will figure out life completely. But health, wealth, love, happiness. You get those 4 things, that's the 4 pillars. And, I know guys that are wealthy. I know a guy worth $2 billion. He's so fat he can't even get out of bed.
Damn.
Like literally, like doctor, like he has like diabetes and all this crazy stuff. Who would you want to be a billionaire and not be able to leave your bed to enjoy your money? No, he forgot the first pillar of the good life, man. You gotta go to the gym a little bit. You gotta get a little cardio. You gotta watch what you eat a little bit. You don't have to be like I'm not a professional athlete like you were or are, but for me, you gotta at least spend 1 to 2 hours a day on health, no matter what. Even if you make a little less money, who cares? Then second, you got to get your finances. The second pillar is wealth. You have to get your finances in order, my friend, because you can have health and love, but you won't have happiness if every day you wake up going, how am I going to pay tomorrow's bills? Like wealth doesn't make you happy, but not having it makes you unhappy. It's a weird thing. And like they say, it's like air. Having air doesn't make me happy. No one woke up and go, "Ooh, I'm so happy I have air." But you put someone's head underwater, and all they can think about is air. So for me, money is not something you pursue for happiness, but you must have it, or you will have a shitty life. Period. The third thing, love, which I kind of categorize friends, family, romance. That's the hardest one, by the way. Trust me. It's easier to get in shape. You just got to have a little discipline. But it's all under your control, basically. Like you wake up, you eat right, you track what you eat, and you work out. That'll go a long way. You do it every day. Wealth, there's rules to making money. I think I could take any person who, unless they're like, developmentally where like I can't talk to them, but basically any human from any background, and I could teach them to make $100 grand a year. Anybody. So wealth is not as hard as people think. Not becoming a billionaire is hard or something like Jeff Bezos, but creating enough wealth to be financially independent is a doable thing. But the third pillar, dealing with people, now that's hard. And that one, nobody has all the answers, man. You look at most of people's of happiness, like Sigmund Freud, the great psychologist. He said there's 3 things that make you unhappy. One is the death and decay of your body, meaning sickness. That's number 1. You're not happy when you're sick. Number 2 is things that are like a hurricane hitting you or something, a tornado, like Mother Nature. Kind of like this COVID is kind of like Mother Nature, right? But he said third, and your biggest problem and biggest reason for happiness is other people. People betray you. People talk behind your back. People divorce you. People steal from you. So the third pillar is the one that we haven't, we'd have to have a podcast for 10 hours, but that's the pillar that takes a lot of focus. So I try to spend every day learning about psychology, learning how to read people. It's been very important. Like, man, I got friends that picked the wrong business partners. I had a friend pick a business partner. Nicest guy in the world. He was in his 20s making $200 grand a week. Okay, that's a lot of money. 800,000. Okay, by 22. But his business partner, what he didn't know was doing the reason that we're making so much profit is that business partner was stealing money from clients. So my business partner for about 5 years was the king of the world, under 25 years old, living in Hollywood. This is my friend, not business partner. Under 25, living in Hollywood, making 200 G's a week. Like just he had Rolls Royce. He had a mansion. He had like whatever he was. And guess what? FBI came in year 5, seized all the money of his business partner, arrested my friend and said, "We think you were in on it." Now, after a few months, he was able to convince the FBI that I didn't know what this was going on. I thought we were doing legit business. I handled the sales. He handled the accounting. And so the FBI didn't put him in prison, but they seized all his money. And they made him pay back $10 million.
Damn.
After they seized his money. So he had no money. So he had to go work it took him 10 years to pay it off. And now he's a millionaire again. And so my point being is, 1, wealth, he learned the pattern. So he lost it all. He could rebuild it. But because he didn't focus on that third pillar of life, which is people, it set him back 10 years. So the good news is he recovered. The bad news is he lost 10 years because he aligned himself with a bad social circle. So I tell people, man, as an entrepreneur, most important things every day you wake up and you examine your social circle. People drag you down to hell right with them, man, whether it's to prison or just, I mean, I've had people steal money from me, man, crazy amounts of money. I know a guy in Hollywood, I won't say his name, his brother stole $15 million out of his bank account. His brother's in prison now. His own brother he couldn't trust. And they were close. Money makes people weird. That's why I say you can't just build wealth. You got to build health, wealth, then you got to build the ability to read people, to understand how to deal with conflict. For example, you get a business partner, you ain't going to agree sometimes. And I see people that don't know how to deal with conflict and their business partnership blows up. I know a guy, Dick Marconi, he started Herbalife. It's a multi-billion-dollar company. New York Stock Exchange, publicly traded company. This guy, two partners started that company, and they got in a fight over the money. And even though they weren't quite, I think they were almost billionaires, but they fought for 10 years, horrible lawsuits, in and out of lawsuits. And he told me it wasn't worth it, man. He said, all that money, I couldn't enjoy it because I had this lawyer coming after me and here, and I spend all my time in court. That's why I said, learn to read people. You find somebody who's shady, just slowly disappear. And some of those shady people are in your own family. That's the scary thing. I promise you, if you have a big family with cousins and multiple brothers and sisters and half brothers, don't just think because they're family that blood is always thicker than water. Bullshit. Family will betray you over money like that. It happens every day. So you got to learn how to be on your guard. You don't want to be too jaded or else you'll attract bad energy, but you also can't be too gullible. So that's that third pillar. It's a complicated one. The fourth pillar is happiness. And I tell people, don't always make the decision that makes you the most money. You know, like once in a while, you got to make a decision. It's even like health. Like I know a guy, he's a famous personal trainer. He's one of the best shape in the world. He's like insane. He's like 6% body fat for like the last decade. This dude's ripped. But he says he hasn't eaten dessert or candy for like 10 years. And I'm going, I don't know, man. I'm like, I'd rather be like, you can see me. I'm not in that shape. Like, I'm like, I don't know. I want that. I want to eat a little bit of cake once. That was my birthday. I want to be able to eat cake, man.
Got to have a little taste.
Yeah, fuck that, man. Same with wealth. People that are in businesses that they hate, but it makes them money. That's why I said, don't forget that fourth pillar, because at the end of the day, the purpose of life is to be happy and to help other people be happy, but also be happy yourself. You get all the health in the world, all the wealth in the world, all the, even, friendships in the world, biggest social media following. If you're not happy when you wake up, shit, people kill themselves all the time, commit suicide, famous people. In fact, you look at a lot of the people that people look up to. I was watching that documentary on Michael Jackson. I don't know what happened. I'm not an investigator, but all I could think was like, I don't think Michael Jackson was happy. At the end of his life, the reason he died is because he couldn't sleep at night. He needed medication. The doctor accidentally gave him too much. So I'm going, man, Michael Jackson, he's probably the greatest musician of our time. And I'm just going, so he had wealth, but he didn't really have health. He didn't really have love. Like, he was lonely. He couldn't trust people. His own brother also stole money from him, by the way, Michael Jackson's brother. And he didn't have happiness. And I was going, man, what did this guy have? Like, this dude I don't consider that the good life, baby. And if I could have anything, I'd rather have half the money and a good life. Notice I didn't say I don't want to have zero money. I like to have some money.
Yeah.
You can do shit. I can buy a farm. Like, I like to buy a farm. I don't have to be around annoying people. Like, it's good to be have some money. I like some nice cars sometimes, you know, but balance, man. That's what I'm trying to say. And I see people. It's funny. I get a lot of rappers following me and message me, DM me, asking for some business advice. That's my advice. I'm like, balance, my friend. Balance. Like, yo, it's cool. You can have bitches and money, but make sure you're putting a little bit in the savings account. Just a little bit. Like shit. You make 10 million bucks, put 2 million away. You still got, even if you burn the 8 million, you still got 2 million. And I see people that don't have, you know, common sense isn't common, man. I know an Amish guy, an old farmer. He said, Tai, my dad used to tell me you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You can send a boy to college, but you can't make him think. You get these guys like make 10 million. My friend that made 18 million and then he had zero. And I was going, bro, you wanted to put all 10 million of your dollars into real estate between Las Vegas and Los Angeles. I said, balance, man. Maybe put half the money in there or a third of the money. So my advice to all of you, some of you are in the gym too much. You're in the gym, you're working out 8 hours a day. Like if you want to be a pro athlete, for example. Man, cut 30 minutes and read a book. And I know maybe your coach won't like that or whatever, and maybe you won't win Mr. Olympia if you're a bodybuilder, or maybe you won't, but like, it'll make, look at Magic Johnson, like, and Shaq and Charles Barkley. They read some books and learned how to invest their money, and they're worth a lot of money now. And there's other people who lost it all, like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So balance, man. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't trust just one financial advisor. Balance. Be like, all right, you got 10 million bucks, and you don't give it all to one financial advisor. What if Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's financial advisor gave him bad advice and lost all his money in a fire because he didn't have proper insurance? His advisor. So if I was talking to Kareem, not that he's a legend, but back then I'd be like, if he was my friend, I'd be like, balance, man. Why you have all your money with this one guy? You know,
yeah.
I see people. There's a friend of mine that's getting ready to get married to a girl, and I can just tell this marriage ain't gonna. She's already mean to him, and I think, bro, like, do you have any common sense? Like, you're already fighting. She's already mean to you. Like, I might have to call the police because I'm worried you're a victim of domestic violence. But you're gonna marry her? I'm like, why don't you date her for another year just to make sure? But no, he has no common sense. So he's just like the sheep to the slaughter, like da-da-da. Everything that she's like, she'll be fine. She'll get better later. I'm going, no one gets better later.
They get worse. They get worse in time.
Balance.
And ultimately, like when you look back at everything, what do you want your legacy to be?
Yeah. You know, I call that my tombstone test. Like, what do I want on my tombstone? Like my grave site. Honestly, I think I'd like it to say that Tai was kind of like a mad scientist. Like, he tried everything, man. He was a social media influencer. I lived for 2 years without electricity with the Amish. I traveled 40, 50 countries. Like, he's businessman. He bought, he did some of the biggest business I've already done. Last year, I did one of the bigger business deals in the U.S. Like, he's tried everything. And for me, I get bored easy, man. So for me, it's like, bam, like, I got to do new stuff, even if it's not always the perfect decision. To me, most important thing, people look back and you go, that guy tried everything. He was a mad scientist. I think being a mad scientist is a compliment for me. I'd rather be remembered for that than just wealth. And included in that mad scientist is, like, I also say, everybody, you should be a little important. I think a lot of the reason people get super depressed, besides the hormonal side, and one of my mentors is a psychologist, a Harvard guy, Dr. David Buss, and he told me, he said, depression is there sometimes to tell you you're on the wrong track. That's why our brain gets depressed. Not always, but many times. And so, like, I also hope my grave says, like, he was actually important. So like at some point, like I touched enough people that I was like, you know what? Tai wasn't perfect, but it's a good thing he was born and was on the planet. So mad scientist and in his life was important. Not the most important, just a little bit important. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely is that, my brother. And it was a pleasure and honor with all the technical difficulty we had in the beginning. You know, you on your farm, you still making it happen, man. So I appreciate this time and look forward to connecting again in the near future, brother.
Well, I appreciate it. Once this quarantine comes out, I'm gonna have to go grab some food, man. I'm gonna send you some on the Farmer's Cart box. We changed the name. It was Farmer's Box. Now it's Farmer's Cart because we could buy the domain name Farmer's Cart. So I'm gonna send you soon. We're back ordered now, but give me a little time. I'm gonna get you some steaks and some chicken and we got some ribeyes. I'll get that out for you.
Yeah, Maya last time, bro, she said, hey, what's your address? Next thing you know, I come to the door and I got a big box. And, man, we had the Butler cookout every Sunday like we used to have. And, man, we threw down good, bro. We appreciate it.
Hey, you know, that's the perks of being a celebrity for you, Karan. Come on, man. You get food, man. We're sending it to you.
Yeah, that's nice looking. Appreciate you, my brother.
Thank you. We'll talk soon, my friend.
All right, take